Our next speaker is a titan of the internet industry, and as the founder of DENOG16 in Switzerland, he is on the forefront of a free and neutral internet and has been an advocate for peering and open fiber. Please join me in welcoming on stage Fredy Künzler.
Grüezi miteinander. Ich war vorher, saß ich hier und dann habe ich mir überlegt, was das bedeutet da. Die einzige Netzwerktopologie ohne Grauen und 1.6 könnt ihr dann addieren, dann ist es 7. And now I'm going to switch to English. I'm talking about fiber. My name is Fredy Künzler. I'm around for a while, and yeah, so everybody who was in Prague and saw me speaking, they could go now for beer. I'm not offended. Quick overview about Swiss telecom market. We have 3 providers. They have basically all of the market share. There are a few others left, and DENOG16 is one of them. About DENOG16, we're around for about 25 years almost now. We're in the lovely city of Winterthur with the most famous soccer club. We're not going to be relegated, and this is us. We have our IP backbone. 13030, if you add the numbers, it comes out 7 again. And we run a backbone in Switzerland with about 330 POPs. By 2028, we expect to cover all of Switzerland with all the so-called half-outs, central offices in Switzerland. We buy fiber from the utilities or the incumbent, and it's layer 1. So we got also some medals. This is the marketing slide I'm supposed to show. And these are the people we are talking about. Quick Swiss politics crash course. We have the Federal Council, that's called Bundesrat in German. There are 7 members, and we have 2 chambers of parliament. Nationalrat, Ständerat, this is almost like in other countries in Europe, and of course we have a court, so that's about what you need to know. Of course we have some administration as well. We have the DTEC or Ofcom, and with the Councillor Albert Rösti and his name, if you, this reminds you to some Swiss speciality. This is not a joke, this is his real name. And the director of the Ofcom, of the Federal Office of Communications, that's Bernard Meissen, and we know each other from soccer. That helps a lot, so we meet every now and then in the stadium in Winterthur. We also have a COMCOM, that's the regulator, Federal Communications Commission, COMCOM, and Christian Martin, he's the current president. He's one of us. He used to be at Cisco and later on at Google, so he has clue. That's good. The legal basis for the regulator is the so-called Fernmeldegesetz, telecommunications law. And we also have a competition commission, that's COMCO, so please distinguish between COMCOM and COMCO. In German it's called Wettbewerbskommission or WEKO. And the legal basis is the antitrust law, the Kartellgesetz. So you need to have this little overview. So that's basically the introduction of that movie you're going to see in a minute. COMCO, COMCOM. That's important. So about 25 years ago, or a bit longer, we had what happened everywhere in Europe. We saw the end of the PTTs, Post-Telefon Telegraph, and all the youngsters of you guys, they usually don't remember that period of time because, yeah, you weren't around yet then. So that happened. So we had Post and Telephone Telegraph, which become later Swisscom. Around that time, we also saw a lot of fantasies. So money-driven people, they were investing in this kind of company. So anyone here used to work at KPN Quest or Easion or eBone, please show hands. Come on. You forgot about those names, but yeah, that used to. Say again? There we go. Okay, so that was a lot of money fantasy, and it broke down. Around that time, when this liberalization came along, we had the copper unbundling in most countries in Europe, also in Switzerland. And so basically, what happened that alternative telcos, they could install these lamps and gear in central offices in the half-outs all around and connect customer directly with the unbundled copper. So that's what happened then. Old gear. We hardly remember those, but as a matter of fact, you can still see that old gear installed in central offices. ADSL was the product at the time, could be used up to 25 megabits approximately. And in Switzerland, we saw a peak of unbundling copper by about 300,000 copper subscribers. Most of them were unbundled by the main competitors, Sunrise. And if you have seen any Swiss news these days, Sunrise went back to the stock market last Friday. And of course, the Aktienkurs, what's that? The stock market price already went down. Later, ADSL wasn't really useful anymore because people were expecting more bandwidth up to about 500 megabit. That's G-Fast or VDSL2 or whatever. And then we got the problem that these unbundled copper lines couldn't be used anymore for unbundling, because if you want to have higher bandwidth, you have to put back all the copper in one cable back to one DSLAM. That was the problem, because the liberalization of the market couldn't happen anymore. So people came up with an idea, okay, we probably just let the incumbent run the DSLAM box for all the customers, and we do a virtual unbundling. In Austria, it's actually called virtual ULL, virtual unbundling local loop. Technically, we speak about bitstream access. This is also happening here in Germany. I borrowed a drawing of Deutsche Telekom. Didn't ask for that, so sorry about that. Sue me if you want. No. So just to give you an idea about what is this bitstream. It's in Germany. It's called Layer 2 BSA bitstream access, I think. Yeah. This didn't happen in Switzerland. We never got bitstream access because, well, yeah, 2007 it broke when they tried to revise the telecommunications law, and I come to that later in a minute why it happened. So we have still unbundled copper lines, but they're no longer useful because of the bandwidth we can achieve. It's just not enough. So what also happened in these years, 2006, 2007, we got first fiber, and mostly in urban areas. Some utilities started to dig and build fiber, and also the incumbents started to dig and build fiber, and they built at the same place, so-called Überbau, what happened everywhere ever since, so you know the story. But after a while, we got this round table, because the Ofcom, the Bundesamt für Kommunikation, they figured, well, if we don't make those fiber builders talk together, it gets messy. And so they invited for roundtables, and people started to talk how to build it, and they agreed to a standard, which is also, we have a unique numbering system in Switzerland for all the OTOs which have been built. They also agreed to build 4 fiber strands to each household to allow competition. So it's called open access usually, and so we have open access layer 1 in a point-to-point network topology. In the year 17, 18, 19, they were talking again in the government, in the national parliament, about revising the telecommunications law again, and it failed. Why did it fail? So the proposal was to have a technology-neutral regulation. It failed because, well, the lobbyists of the incumbent, they were talking to a lot of parliament people, and this regulation was abandoned because a lot of people in Bundesbern, as we call it, they try to protect the 580 million francs the incumbent is paying every year as a dividend. You have to know Switzerland owes still 51% of the national incumbent. So what happened shortly after? The incumbent announced another 1.5 million FTTH to build 1.5 million to houses, to households and businesses until 2025. And what they didn't announce is that they started to change the topology. We had the agreement on the round table, 4 strands, point-to-point fiber, and they said, oh, we don't like that. It's more efficient to build PON fiber to point to multi-point. So this is the new standard we're going to do. And there is where it all started, with this so-called Glasfaserstreit, the fiber dispute we had in Switzerland in the last couple of years. About 3 weeks later, Competition Commission, distinguished COM, so it's not the regulator, this is the Competition Commission. They started to investigate, and they started to investigate on their own. What's about this new fiber standard of the incumbent? What does it mean? Does it have any impact to the market of free choice for all the users, that they can choose their service provider? And since Swisscom hasn't been for the first time at Comco, well, there were a lot of other cases before, so Comco is rather aware, and they're looking what they're doing. In September 2020, we figured that this is not going to go well because we couldn't connect our new customers anymore to our own infrastructure, to our own equipment, and so we filed a complaint at Comco. About 3 months later, on December 14th, and I never will forget that day, Comco ordered a precautionary measure against Swisscom and declared they are doing illegal because they had to stop Swisscom immediately. These processes with Comco usually take several years until a final decision is reached. And within this time, Swisscom could have built whatever they want. So they want to avoid a fait accompli. Of course, Swisscom immediately appealed at the Bundesverwaltungsgericht, the Federal Administrative Court. This is a picture of the building in St. Gallen. And later in this year, we had a hearing that was actually quite remarkable. So on that side, 5 people sitting of Comco, on the other side, 5 people of Swisscom, and me and my lawyer in between as a sandwich. That was a bit an awkward experience. Nevertheless, Swisscom just ignored the order. They did whatever they wanted and said, we don't care, we just continue building point-to-multipoint or PON topology. In total, they built about 750,000 connections illegally. And later that year, in September 30, we got the decision of the Federal Administrative Court, and it was a 100% victory for us and for Comco. And it was actually quite remarkable. It's about 219 pages, so it's available in German for download, so if anybody is interested. Thank you. After that, shortly, Swisscom stopped to market, and that was actually quite a bad experience for some people, because yesterday they could order a fiber connection, and the other day they couldn't anymore. So that was a bit sad. There were also a lot of rumors around. So they said, especially in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, they said, well, there is some small provider in the Deutschschweiz who doesn't like us, and that's why you cannot get a fiber anymore. They, of course, appealed. It went to federal court, to the Bundesgericht, and it was just, they made a tick, and everything was as the Bundesverwaltungsgericht, the Federal Administrative Court, said before. So that was the preliminary proceeding. And at the time, the main procedure was still pending. There was a hearing in Bern that was actually also quite nice, when we were able to present our case and why we made this and what it was all about. And a couple of months later, we won again 100%. The Comco decision, another 200 pages. It's all public if you want to see it. And Swisscom had to pay 18.4 million as a fine. That one is still pending. I mentioned that before, 750,000 FTTH illegal, and they're forced to either take that off service or change it to point-to-point topology by the end of 2025. And that's actually a good thing, because it enables all the competitors to do proper services without limitation of the incumbent. Thanks. So what we can say now is point-to-multipoint is history in Switzerland, and that's a good thing. We have these 4 fiber to every household, and it's open access topology everywhere. That gives new opportunities. Of course, some of the service providers, they still choose XGS-PON. This is the common standard for most of the service providers these days. All the Salt, Sunrises, and Swisscoms and some others, they do just XGS-PON with the splitters, but the splitters are installed in the central office. They just have a very long leaf to the end customer. The splitters are no longer distributed in the living areas of the cities, but just in the central offices. Some other service providers like us, we do Ethernet, 10G, 25G Ethernet. That's also not a secret. We use the latest Cisco gear for that purpose, the C9500 series. There's a link if you want to know more about that gear and how we use it. It's a link from RIPE 84. We also have a new product. This is called Ethernet 7. Guess why? It's a carrier Ethernet service alike. Nothing special. That's a technology which is around for a couple of years. And we use EVPN VXLAN for that purpose. So we can do these side-to-side networkings, Standortvernetzung in German. And for the first time, we can actually compete the product which was around for about 15 years already by the incumbent, and they still charge more than 300 for 10 megabit. So we charge about a third for 10 gigabit. We thought, what cool thing could we do? Actually, we could do an exchange, an internet exchange. Swiss-wide internet exchange. we can connect up to more than 2 million OTOs right now, and it's still a bit early beta. We'll see. We got a ripe NCC IXP allocation. So if you want to join, talk to me or Thomas or Manuel or Anita. Yeah. The whole story is also in our blog, German, English, French, Italian. You can choose. And we got also a fiber map. This is kind of cool. So this is, you can see every single fiber, every single house which can actually be connected to our infrastructure, and also those which will be online, will be connected anytime soon with a tentative date. Please don't click away the disclaimer and the FAQ. That's important for once. And that's me. And I'm open for questions. Questions could be either German or English or French.
Thank you, Fredy, for this interesting insights. And as you already mentioned, we are open for questions. Are there any questions? One?
Do you already have active peers on the Ethernet 7 peering mesh?
Actually, I don't know. I think one. Where's Thomas? Thomas, can you answer that, please?
Not yet.
Not yet. But we managed to make IXP manager available. So yeah. It's not the project with the highest priority, but I mean, if we get demand, then we can probably speed that up a bit.
Oh, any further? Okay. Give me a second, I'll be
Sorry,
right
I can't hear you.
A microphone is coming to you.
Why do you need the microphone? Please state your name and affiliation and then ask the question.
I'm Malta, I'm a private individual. I would like to know when you will offer sponsored Layer 7 as a managed service. If you have nationwide peering availabilities, obviously it would be nice for somebody to have a little sponsoring by you.
There is actually a sponsoring request form on our website, so I'm not the one who is deciding about sponsorings. Maybe you can see my pullover. This is all I got from this Glasfaserstreit. It actually says Partikularinteresse, and this was what the legal guy at the incumbent was always saying. What our aim is to achieve an open market. So that's why I'm wearing this pullover.
We have a question from the internet. Are there any plans to expand Init 7 to the rest of Europe?
I'm not the fiber messiah for those which no. Well, we are not layer 1 people. Or layer 2, we have clue about layer 2 and layer 3. So we have to have a proper infrastructure to rely on. And this is a misconception of most people in Germany. I mean, yeah, I mean, I have to say that in German. wenn man die Glasfaser den Neoliberalen zum Fraß vorwirft, dann kommt es so raus wie in Deutschland. So can someone translate this please for me, because
Any volunteers?
yeah. So it's a political thing. I mean, in Switzerland we talk about service public. If we mean a public service like energy, like streets, like trains, like stuff, yeah. Everybody could benefit from it. We talk about service public. And in my opinion, fiber is also service public. And the misconception is people don't think in OSI layers. Those which make decisions, they need education. What is an OSI layer? And you need to you have to make this layer 1 as a public service, where all the competing service providers, they can make use of it and invest in their ideas. So it will benefit to this economy, to everybody. And this is the misconception in many countries, unfortunately. And yeah, there we are. We had to use the anti-cartel law to fix the broken telecommunications law. And this is what you should do as well, if you can.
Then, applause.
Thank you.